and we can create whatever.
That's it. Perfect.
Cool.
Yeah. So what I had yesterday, my girlfriend who's been sick got moved to palliative care.
Yep.
And so I went and saw her there yesterday in the morning, and which was interesting. And
I was going to say, how was that with you? Hi, gorgeous.
I was just going to say my dinner's been brought in.
Oh.
I can't hear you though because I've got my headphones on.
Yeah.
Ali's saying hello.
Oh, hello. Hello.
Priceless.
Is it just you two?
Is it just us two?
Yeah, maybe. Oh no, there's you too.
Awesome.
That's true. Maybe Fergal's going to join.
I'm lighting my new fire.
Oh yeah, he's got just a new fireplace baby.
Oh,
so
awesome.
I know he's been so hanging to have a fire in the lounge room, so that's nice.
We've got two big half rings of wood sitting outside our drive if you want to pick them up and take them to your house.
Oh my God, we would love that.
Yeah. They've slowly been disappearing, but the last two big rings are just sat there, so they must be yours.
And they like from the tree that got cut down?
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, wow.
Yeah. We'll have to get Murray to lift them into the car.
Right, yeah, I was thinking maybe I'll need to bring a trailer or something.
No. I'll talk tomorrow. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll work it out.
Okay.
We'll work it out.
Yeah. So you went to palliative care.
And it was actually quite interesting. Interesting in the sense it was beautiful. It was beautiful because she wasn't in a space to really talk. And the most perfect song came on when I was sitting in there with her, and it was like we just looked at each other. It was like we didn't need to speak because the words of the song were just like perfect. And I had Paddy with me, and he was like, he was so knew what was happening because he was so respectful, and he didn't speak at all. He just sat there. And it was amazing. It was amazing. And then when I left, it was funny because two of her brothers were in there, and they said they didn't know who I was.
Some random chicks just turned up. Yeah. As you do.
Yeah, it was just like that. And they were saying, oh, look, when I left, they said, look, we're going to be really restricting the visitors, and I really felt like I got in just before
the cut-off.
Yeah, before the cut-off, which was perfect. And then, but funnily enough, she texted me today saying, when are you coming to visit again? Because
she probably likes just sitting in your energy and just knowing that there's nothing to say or do, and you just can be present.
Yeah, which I feel like she probably has that with a lot of her friends. But she's like, I've got a mission for you. So
wow.
I know. So I was like, awesome. I was like, well, Paddy and I will be back.
Oh God, what?
I know. So it was so funny, because I afterwards I was like, oh, maybe I stayed too long. Like I was really doubting myself, and then it was so funny to get her text, and I was like, oh, what? Because I kind of felt quite complete. I was like, that was awesome, and I felt like it was a real gift to actually even get in. And now I'm like, oh, I'm going back.
Isn't that great? And it's just not having any attachments to what you think you need to be doing or having or whatever, and it's just playing its course out, and there's still something there. And whether it is what it is, it doesn't really matter, because in the space right here, right now, you've got everything.
Yeah.
Pretty incredible that Paddy at 2 can recognise, and I think that comes down to what we were saying about kids and the new generation of upbringing and the way it's so different, and allowing them to express themselves and find themselves more openly earlier instead of controlled environments on how to be told what to do. He's just showing us that in the moment he knew by the energy and vibe what was going on, and he played his part perfectly. Yeah. Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
In my mind, I'm then contrasting his today.
Yeah. Well, obviously that triggered something.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And my theme has been similar to last week. Has really been anger.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And it's actually funny because one of the things I realised last week from our conversation, which I think I expressed pretty much in it, was that I've had this thing about I've had this story running about how I've had people in my life that are quick to anger, like their thing is anger.
Yeah.
And also realising since doing work with you, Ali, is that actually I've had anger that hasn't been expressed.
Yep.
And then linking the two together going, oh, no wonder I've had this judgment about the people I've been around and this thing around anger. So I really got that. It was funny because I knew the thing about judgment and I knew the thing about reaction, but then last week I put the two together going, oh, okay, so even though I just put the two together to realise that actually maybe I was attracting these things because I had unprocessed anger.
Which is really cool because it's subconsciously unaware. So again, it talks about us living in different understandings of ourself, our frequency, our vibration, our reality, whatever you want to call it. But if you look at consciousness, you've got subconscious, conscious, higher conscious, whatever you want to call the alternate conscious of being, and merging them all together so they're beating to the same drum in every arena. That's when that's the awareness, and then you're like, wow, where does this fit? Because I'm not actually consciously aware, but it's bringing up some subconscious stuff that's triggering, now that you're aware, is triggering this awareness, which is allowing it to be seen in a different form. Whereas a lot of people seriously in life will go along and play the same story over and over again, but with total unawareness, even though the subconscious is bringing and attracting all this, they're still looking outside and seeing it as something else.
Yes.
And they'll have a story for it and a justification for it and an experience for it, and it all makes sense. But if in that full awareness of every aspect of your being, it shares an attraction to you, and a reaction is something about you, isn't it? And so, how cool are we of fooling ourselves though, and actually, I don't really have this. It's just an observation.
I know. I think it's completely. And I also feel like, I've done lots of work on myself and I've dealt with my anger, but it's like, oh, okay, but it's still a theme. So
okay, but I think the biggest thing for you to realise, or sharing this as a discussion, because we can, that anger is an essence of our being, and it has a right to express itself as every other particle of our being does as well, with the happy, joy, or the sad, or whatever. So therefore, if you deny it, then it's going to formulate in a bigger format, isn't it, to come and kind of make itself. I think it's just allowing its expression, but not allowing it to dominate your playground. And I think you're doing with it really quite nicely, because like you're saying, I'm still attracting these people, I'm observing this. So you're actually sitting here looking at it instead of being immersed in it.
Yeah, that's true.
So now with the awareness here, gives you more choices before you formulate that energy to be stuck in that stuff. Do you know what I mean? And just coming back here and sitting with it and going, wow, okay, that's got nothing to do with them, this is all mine. Boom, away we go.
Yeah.
I mean,
and tonight I was saying to Bertel, I picked him up from the train and I'm like, be careful, babe, my anger's still present.
And of course, the more you reinforce it, the more it will be. So I think the more the more you spend in the area, the more it comes to you to play, doesn't it? So therefore, don't give it too much attention, because it continues to, like you say, I'm still hanging around. Or maybe subconsciously you've got that curiosity, but you're actually feeding it, which makes it more present. So awesome. With awareness, it's just like, it is what it is, and don't get too attached to it.
Yeah, good. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Yeah.
And so, in saying that, I'd be curious in the trigger of the reality of awareness of where it's actually stimulated from, because that's the way I think.
Yeah. It's a good question.
So when in life can you remember being angry, you know, and what's the earliest point? What's the emotion attached to that point? And and even if you want to go there, like, seriously. I mean, it's all about choices. That's just curiosity. Sometimes if you give an awareness and understanding, then it seems to deplete its purpose of needing to knock on the door and be more confronting to you. I don't think this is confronting to you. I think this is an awareness that's presenting to you. Whether you want to understand it more would be the question I'd ask you. And that way, that's when you'd formulate those sort of playgrounds to go and investigate and understanding. Of course, you're going to get to that same point that you get to in every point, which we've found out is that as soon as we stepped outside of ourselves, of that loving, just being that space, the contrast is going to show us something about ourselves. So you walk into, you know, anger, then anger is going to show us something about ourselves, and it's just about not loving who we are and not accepting who we are, not, you know, all those simplistic things that you've learned along the way. But it would be a curious journey just to go, you know, little bit, lie a little bit, lie a little bit. But at the end of the day, anger today would represent in this format with people around you. And then when you looked at anger today and got a feeling, if you wanted to go with the feeling, got a feeling of it, and brought it more into, okay, I've felt this before. When have I felt this before? What would be the next trigger? And that's where you'd go. And then, of course, doing that, you would find that it would just keep going back and back and back and back to the earliest point that you've actually remembered being angry, which could be like, some can remember before 5, some can only remember 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, you know what I mean? They're all, you know, that moment's manifested into the bigger outcome if it's not dealt with in this moment.
Yeah. I'm completely open to, you know, taking those steps back. And as I'm sitting here, I'm like, oh, it's a curious question about the earliest memory I have of being angry. I love what you said about, and it really softened my heart when you said that thing about, I can't remember the exact word, Ali, but it was something like when you step out of yourself and out of that sense of softness or love or.
Okay, yeah. So if we come in as the, you know, the whole being pure point of love or whatever that presentation of nice feeling is, and we enjoy that space, as soon as we step outside that, we start creating the alternate spaces of that. Do you know what I mean? So the playgrounds, because there's one more playground that you enjoy more so, even though in hindsight it shouldn't be any different because it's all just an experience, but there is preference of playgrounds and freedom of choice. So why don't we, so like if you had a trigger, if you focused on the people around you that triggered the anger and the awareness, because you were sitting here and observing it, so it's subconsciously programmed into you. If you could connect an emotion apart from, you know, that anger, is there a feeling or something that goes with it that triggers some other thought or some other place, that reality that you've lived that you may have felt, even if you have to go with the word anger?
Yeah.
Okay, you've got a smile. What have you?
I know. I was just thinking with Patty.
Yep.
Today.
Yep.
Oh.
Yep. Yep.
Oh, I'm really hitting on something.
Cool.
He has such a beautiful self-expression. Like.
Yep. Oh, where are we going? Yep. Yeah. Go for it.
And it's like I feel like there's some jealousy around that. Like he's so like, yeah.
Go with it.
Yeah,
just ramble.
He's like in his essence, and he's just like, I'm going to do this. And we're at my mum's, and she has a chessboard, and we were sitting there, and I was like, okay, let's pack it up because we're going to go. And we packed it up, and then he turns around and looks at me, and he gets out his arm, and he goes whoosh like this, and he, you know, which little kids do. And I was like, okay, let's do it again. We'll do it again together. And then I set it up again. And then he looks at me and I said, don't touch it, Patty. And then again, the arm raises and whoosh. And I was like, right, I'm going to put you in your cot while I pack up this, because you obviously, you know.
Yep.
But yeah, isn't that interesting? So yeah, yeah.
So how did it make you feel though, like his actions? Because you've started off at angry and we've diverted to the self-expression and jealousy. So I'm curious, what was the anger connection? I'm loving how you've gone out of focus again.
I know, isn't that interesting?
I don't really want to be seen.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. It comes
out.
Magic, just like that. Yep.
Oh my God.
Yep.
Isn't that funny? Like, I feel like annoyed came up.
Yeah.
It comes to me now. But the question, what was your question? Say your question again, huh?
I don't know what my question was. Is it something to do with how we've diverted from anger to self-expression and jealousy through Paddy?
Yeah.
So if we could connect the anger essence with Paddy, irrespective to the self-expression and jealousy, that has its own little accord. What have you felt that emotional anger that he was bringing out in you play out in your life previously to that point?
Is that like, have I been angry before?
Yeah, I'm just like, so if you could connect to the emotion that you felt in that particular moment as Paddy's doing whatever he's doing.
Yeah.
Connect to that emotion. Okay, just go there now. Oh, there we go. And now, have you felt that sort of feeling?
I actually can't connect with the anger in this moment.
That's cool. It's cool in itself. Take Paddy out of the... Oh, okay, what did you feel? What did you do?
No, I can feel a constriction in my heart area, but it feels more like, maybe that is the anger.
Yeah, it is. It is. That's what it's expressing itself. So when in life have you felt constricted?
Oh, wow. Well, the first thing that comes to my mind is
Cool.
In my early 20s when I was raped.
Yep.
But my understanding at this point is that there was a point before that.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. But obviously, because being raped at 20 is a very significant point. It's dominating it's dominating your storyline.
Yes.
So and understanding the storylines come from a presence of a manifested anger ball to get to even that point. Because at the end of the day, being raped, you'd be angry. Seriously, you couldn't be anything but more pissed off. Do you know what I mean? Or more angry, or more whatever that emotion. I can't, seriously describe it because it hasn't played out in this experience. Yet, understandably so, that would make the anger connection totally why you would see it still in its essence. An observation for people, but obviously the shift in you was not being immersed in it. It's sitting back here, so it's getting further and further, and of course it's going to get further and further as you come to peace within who you are as a being human having an experience. And the storyline is what it is. Curiosity, if we could pass through the 20-year-old portal where it's significantly dominant, and if it slipped through that.
You know what comes up?
What?
Grade 5.
Yep.
And isn't it funny? Like, sadness came up initially. Anyway, just as I started.
Yeah. No, keep dribbling all the information.
Okay. Yep. But oh my gosh, the emotion is so present, like the sadness.
Please, no, go with it. Go with it.
So in grade 5, my three best friends all stayed down.
You've got 3 best friends, and I missed that. Yeah.
Oh, I feel really emotional. My 3 best friends at school all got kept down.
Kicked out.
No, they got kept down, like made repeat year 5.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, okay, thank you. Oh, kept. Okay, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's my Kiwi. Kept down, yeah. Repeated.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I don't know why I feel so emotional about that.
No, I can understand that. That
they
makes sense.
they actually said to my mum, Gabrielle could stay down too.
Yeah, Mum, please.
They actually said that to Mum.
Yeah.
And she said, no. And she had she thought, no, it's better for me to be young and finish school, and then I'll have time up my sleeve to do other things. So
yeah. She advised you with the best information at that time that she felt for that moment.
Yeah.
And that's how it played out, and obviously you were attracting that already into your arena, so that makes sense. The being kept down and that emotional connection, see, even that would make you angry.
Yes, and I wasn't even there was no conversation with me about what I wanted to do.
No. Of course, because parents, as parents, we know best, don't we? Shit, yeah. But I know we write a rule book for our children, yet we're learning it as we go. Seriously. But the angry thing, that makes complete sense. So imagine how much that at grade 5 was suppressed anger.
Yeah. So I was furious because it's like I had to start again.
Yeah, not looking at the gifts from the awareness that you have today is grade 5 and starting over with new friends and stuff is the gift of life. Do you know what I mean? It's just and still being friends and all that sort of stuff. But I think the anger that was suppressed at that particular moment would have been so significant, and obviously not discussed, not shared, and you've held that within. So if you went from, now can we travel back up? So if you went from grade 5, I'm not sure with Australian age at grade 5, but if you went from grade 5 and then followed the steps of your life and see where this anger formulation would then get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until it hits you at 20.
Well, no, it hit me before then, because in year 8, that was when I had cancer.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, okay. And what's the significant understanding, since I've got my body book, we could look at the emotion attached to cancer for just a left field chat about nothing, as we do. I'll just look it up, because I think it would be good to know for anyone watching, a subconscious emotion attached to the cell and the memory and the frequency and the vibration that it would penetrate from. A 121, I should, okay. Cancer, feeling limited, angry, fearful, out of control, carrying wounds from the past, not feeling good enough, shrinking inside, attacking yourself from within, feeling like guilt, grief, and uncertainty are eating away at your body, being on guard, never able to relax and let go, often pushing yourself to do more than you can handle, trying to please others and constantly seeking approval. Now, knowing that there's only aspects of that, not all of that, but just go with this as a play of a reality in the way we're creating it through what we're talking and formulating, because not everybody's going to agree with this shit. Do you know what I mean? Seriously, do. But there are going to be some people that are going to go, oh, wow, maybe. So, and for us, it's just a curiosity. So you've gone from grade 5 with anger to year 8 with cancer. And anger's in there. That's what I mean. Anger's in there. So, and formulated in a young kid at that point, and knowing how powerful thought is and what we create from it. What if that is the reality that played out in that cancer? Do you know what I mean? So you go on to cure yourself through that process thinking whatever you've done, I don't know what sort of therapy, whatever, blah, 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 that you've gone through, and taking yourself onto whatever diet or whatever you believe or however you chose to treat the experience, formulated a cure through that. But did you resolve the emotional connection to the anger? So
well, it's interesting because I never, like, it's only been a recent thing to acknowledge that is what, like, I have never looked at what created the cancer. So I've certainly looked at the emotions around having the cancer.
Yep.
But I never went back to, okay, what actually created it?
Yeah. And understandably so, if we could take you back from grade 5 down to birth, and as soon as you started getting angry at little things, it would have formulated, and that would have created the grade 5 experience of the kids, your mates being kept back. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it comes a formulation from whether you believe before you come in, whether you believe after you come in, whatever you believe life to be. Mm-hmm. But at that point, as soon as you step outside of just loving and accepting and being at peace with yourself, and the world is reflecting that anger aspect to you, it formulates and grows. Do you know what I mean? And if you don't come to peace with it, it just gets bigger and bigger. So at grade 5, you have the kids. At grade 8, you have cancer. And then you formulate a so-called gap of healing, no matter how anybody is choosing it to be. But if you don't fix, this is what we were discussing last week, what if we don't fix the essence of the soul of the experience of the emotion attached to the cell memory, that it formulates that next experience through the vibration of your frequency. So by that time it's multiplied to whatever frequency it's dominating subconsciously, not even in your conscious awareness. And it's attracting you at 20 to be raped. You know, in a weird world, that makes a lot of sense to me. But in somebody that can't see past the door is not going to have a bar of soap with that. But I think it'll be really interesting to hear what's happening in the next few weeks with your attraction to your reality and what you're seeing, because obviously with the awareness that we've been playing in lately, and you've come to this understanding, the anger awareness is all coming from an observation seat, not stuck in that mess density. Do you know what I mean? Not amongst all the experiences that are significantly creating illnesses or injuries or whatever. So to me, it's like you're observing this with awareness, and therefore it's getting further from a need to be shown to you, because you've come to peace with aspects of of the whole storyline that you know that, well, I'm going to say you've chosen, but you know, with awareness that we've created in our life experience, instead of blaming the aspects of the outcome. So it'll be interesting that we've taken that. It's really funny. It's come to this week, and it come to just, you know, the two of us, because we always said we'd talk about it, but we just didn't know when. But the formulation of previous chats on with the girls in the group has formulated this moment to this awareness, to this point, and is now reflecting your journey from year whatever to right through to now. And man, that makes you know, it makes, I know you get it. I know you totally get it. But I think for somebody watching it, it will give them a different perspective on how to look at what if.
Yeah. And it's really interesting, Ali, how things happen. Like since Patty was born, one of the girl I was closest to from grade 5, she moved down to Mount Eliza, and we reconnected. Which has been interesting. And
yes.
Yeah. And so go.
No. Formulation of attraction. Now, what you're vibrating at is now attracting that whole. Yeah.
And I've kind of been like conscious of this whole thing that happened in grade 5. Just the last couple of, like, I hadn't thought about it in ages, but the last couple of months, because I've seen it once or twice. But anyway, and I was like, so it was nice to see that all kind of make more sense to me.
Well, for me, no wonder anger's been playing out in your arena, because even her coming back into it, it draws. See, what you're going to understand is that when you kind of playing with this, and you all got cells and you all got memories, and they've all got vibrations and frequencies that come. You bring something back into your experience that brings up the same, the memory of the cell, and then it's got all this energy attached to it, and then this energy is going, well, hello again, how you been? You know, ain't seen you for a while. But the reality is, it's not in you or at you or crushing you. You've got this beautiful observation deck that you're viewing it from, and it's just like going, okay, then it's not, you know, you've just come to this amazing place. Oh my fucking God, I've so wanted to. It's such a cool. We can make anything out of nothing, but that to me makes a heap of sense in the reality of creation of what I understand it to be and have come to play. Oh, dude, we're finished now. We're fucking done. Like, seriously. I'm out of here. I'm off to Gold Coast, babe. See you later. That's so cool. That's so cool. That's so cool. Do you want to share? How are you feeling?
You know what? I actually feel I feel quite expanded and relieved.
Oh, awesome. So flicking back and flicking back to the memory now, if we'll just play with it because we can, because it's just us and it's really cool. So flicking back to the memory of the grade 5, how does it feel now compared to with the awareness that we've given it compared to when we first spoke about it?
There's, just as I went there's still a little bit of sadness around it.
Yeah.
But I'm also getting this thing of, and then I made some really beautiful friends. So it's allowed space for that commentary.
Yeah. It's opened the doorway for gifts of the experience and acknowledgement for what it is. And I don't think it's going to beat you up as it has done in the past anymore, you know.
You know what I find really interesting, Ali, is that like I've thought about that a few times and about what would have happened if I stayed down, and the girls in the year below me I really liked, and you know, I had this idea of what could have unfolded, and even I remember having a conversation with you once about when I had cancer and that I was put in the adults hospital and not the children's hospital, and I know I'd had a bit of a narrative around what it would have been like if I'd gone to the children's hospital. But it's really interesting how and maybe it's because I hadn't expressed the emotions that created the event that meant that I was still feeding this whole story about, well, what if? So it's interesting that both points in my life, I have played in the narrative about, well, what would have happened if I had stayed down, or if I'd been put in the children's hospital and not in the adults hospital.
Well, just to confuse matters a little bit more, I'd go with the, what if you are in a multiple reality universe and it's all playing out anyway, and you're just tapping into that and tapping back into this and tapping into that and tapping back into this. You know, at the end of the day, you did have that experience, but just here right now, we're in this experience. Do you know what I mean? And so they're all playing out in our multiple realities, because out of one possibility comes a multitude of possibilities, as we know, and out of nothing is everything. So anything you think of is possibly a reality playing out in its experience, and you've just tapped into it. So here's a curious one, because on Friday night, Saturday night, obviously, you know, I follow the netball, so I had this random thought, as I do, of this bird coming on and subbing on into the semi-finals, which was pretty random because she hasn't had much. Actually, she had very limited game time all season. So of course it caught my eye and thinking, because I'm thinking, well, that's a strange thought, like seriously, dude. And anyway, I was watching the game on Sunday and there was a blood incident and she got subbed on. So, you know, all exists right here, right now. Did I just tap into that reality? And then I got to watch it in this other reality. And I was like, oh, that's so funny. It's not quite perfectly as I saw it, but it was exactly. I was going, man, I should have just messaged you and saying, hey, get that bird prepared, because I've seen it come on. But it was cool for me in playing in that multiple reality and that whole past, present, future all at once.
Yeah. So I'm really glad you brought this up, because I've been thinking about this, because we talked about it last week offline. Yep. But I've been really conscious of, and maybe anyway, about so I'll be okay. I completely am open to the concept that there's multiple realities, and that potentially we tap into them, and at each point, we're creating multiple realities because we're making lots of
absolutely.
And then I'm like, so how is it that one particular reality dominates, and what determines which one dominates? So, and then I was like, I wonder if you could actually experience the other realities consciously while still being.
I believe so. So.
Yeah.
I believe there are people that are doing it, and I believe that, and I believe those people. I know, and I believe those people have probably got diagnosed with something else and have probably got mental illness issues or something, and because they're actually probably not screened as well as, or haven't been brought up in a similar sort of borderline, this is how it is box, and this is the only way we listen to our mother's story and our mother's story and our father's story, and this is it, and we become that, and that becomes us, and that, we don't extend outside that because that's just a limited reality. But then you've got the ones that are so far off the planet. And you look at babies, like today, we had one at the cafe, and today a baby, is looking at you, and has got this whole game going on because they're seeing multitudes of energies and experiences through their eyes, and we're telling them, no, that's one person, and that's a dog, and that's a table, and that's a chair. So all of a sudden their expansion from this is going, oh my God, I've got to come into this human product, and they want me to play this way. And imagine as soon as you do that, you fall out of who you are. So for the rest of your life, you're trying to come back into who you are, which brings the contrast of experiences, which becomes the anger, which becomes the illness, which becomes the rape, which becomes whatever, and then you say, oh, fuck this, and then it's like this, and you start to open those doorways and become more peaceful with who you are instead of who you want to fit into the world and being, and then the whole reality start changing again, hence the scenarios of sharing past, present, future, it would be good. I believe it happens. I believe there's people, and as evolution on, this particular understanding of what we're experiencing, talking about changes, I was saying to Tyler today, it'll be a whole, it's gone from, there's a man and a woman, and that's the only, they marry, and now you've got men and women, and you've got women and men, and you've got all sorts of things. I said to Tyler, give us another 50 odd years or whatever, it'll be like anybody, anything, anyone, and because it'll be here to have an experience, not a controlled outcome of what is right, what is wrong, and it is here to experience an expression of itself through us as a playground, and so not that at this particular time, a lot of us would be saying, oh no, but you give yourself an expansion of realities and not a limited. You'd be more a recipient to allowing someone to express it their way. Doesn't mean you'll still do it your way, because it's here to be expressed a way that you choose it to be. At the moment, like you say, we're just a bit conditioned into that. But if you search and stuff, you look at things. You've got breatharians around, you've got whatever. There's just a multitude of experiences being had. You've got people levitating, so they are all here. It's just that it's just what you want to be open to. And I think that's what, as much as we bag the internet, it creates an opportunity to explore the possibilities of what we don't know, and that what we have these random thoughts, the amount of stuff that goes on in my head, and I've ended up on tangents, like inner earth, for God's sake. How would I have known? You paint something and it becomes an understanding that this actually is an existence. There is a race, a civilization, central sun, and all this within this experience, within Earth. I would have never thought that. I would have thought I was, people do think I'm cuckoo. But, at the end of the day, in my reality, this is my truth, which is that not an alternate reality? Just because Joe Blogg's living, going to work, doing its thing, believing in its way, and in the structural system, and I'm living on the same planet, but I'm in a whole different headspace. So is that not a multiple realities all playing out on Earth? Are we all not individuals, all having our own realities? Because as I said, no one sees anything the same. We all see it differently from a perspective of how we're choosing to view it. So yeah, it all exists already. It's just, and the more acceptive we come, the more that will come out. It's like people that don't tell you about things, and then 20 years later it becomes everybody's norm. But somebody's been living it 20 years ago, but they don't really, you know what I mean? Yeah. Oh, we could go there.
It did remind me of someone.
Yeah. But I've had, it's the same with so it was saying that, you know, and it's true, when you drop all this busyness and stuff and just open up the doorway of possibilities. You know, I rang Mum the other day because I said to her, she had a phone call from my auntie or something, and I just said, so funny, I had a thought about her in the shower. I was having a conversation in my head with her. I don't know if that would do her any good, but she's probably thinking I'm crazy enough as it is. But anyway, but it was, and Mum goes, I was just talking to her today. And so the whole synchronicity of us in that particular moment, connecting that, you know, and I find that happens all the time now. And I think it's when you drop the busyness and you just be present, that it opens a doorway for this to express itself, and you're just going, wow, that's an interesting thought. Or even in our communication, often it'll be, so I walked into Conscious Craving, so funny today, and Dee was behind the counter making coffee, and she goes, far out, that's so funny. 10 seconds ago, I was just thinking, I never replied to Ali's message because I thanked her for the coffee the other day that she made, and because I don't often get served by her, and I just sent her a message and I just said, hey, thanks for the lovely coffee. And anyway, I haven't replied to you, and I said, well, you don't have to now because I'm here. You can actually tell me. So, you know, those moments, and all of them seem to line up, and they were just more in flow. Ramble, but anyway, don't know if I answered anything that we were talking about. But yeah, and it's. So
I was trying to think what the question was.
I think we're talking about multiple realities or something, and
yes, that's right. And it's funny because when I hold that, I think, it really takes the pressure off making decisions because. Of the concept that, you know, I'm probably doing that somewhere else anyway.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I can, you know.
Well, I think for me, this is how I kind of justified my awareness, and it's, you know, take it with a grain of salt. But I was thinking, if I'm living a multiple reality and a whole lot of experiences, and it's all happening right here, right now, and I'm consciously aware of this present being in this present moment, then if this one's functioning at a space of, you know, whatever you want to fine-tune your being, because it really doesn't matter, it's just about an experience, but if you want to fine-tune it to love and appreciation and all those yummies that we choose to see as yummies, but, you know, you tune that space into being here right now, then say if it's on a frequency scale, and if you were high-low, I'm just going to go say it's on a frequency scale and it, you know, it maxes out at like 98, you know, whatever, then whatever's the most dominant frequency in every reality, wouldn't it kind of lift that space too? So if it's a multitude of realities playing out and you're having probably a denser experience because everything's, but there's no difference, but we see it as denser. And this frequency can affect that frequency, well, surely that would enhance that to play in a better place. So therefore, why not stay focused here now? And then on every other reality, it is that too. And then, again, it comes down to what we see it. So if we think we're all different in different realities, so it will be, you know. It comes down to too many possibilities. Do you know what I mean? Like probabilities, possibilities. If you want to see it as something, it's how it'll be. So you can't kind of attach too much to it. And I think that's why I become more about playing presently. Not to say that, like I said, you still experience every element of its being. I think a big thing is not getting too caught up on the difference of it being anger or happy or whatever it is, what it is. Because at the end of the day, everything comes to a point, and once you've had that point, it seems to move to the next point and the next point and the next point. And you can reaffirm with affirmations and stuff to keep that vibration and flow into those points. Do you know what I mean? If you want to play in it from a detached or even a focused reality, you can control and manipulate all those to play more. And then you get the point of the subconscious unawareness of what's actually going on, and does that come out and spill out if you're not, allowing everything to so if we're looking at contrast, so you're playing from real love and then you've got this anger coming out. If it comes to playing and you keep suppressing it, does it go away and explode somewhere? Do you know what I mean?
In a different reality.
Well, who knows? But I'm talking shit. Like, seriously, dude, this is like just a contrast of many contrasts. But I just think it's just not getting too hooked up on it. Here we are having an experience, enjoy it for what it is. I think I sent that message to my son the other day about the netball stuff in my reality, and he sent back I said, fuck, I think I'm psychic. That's what I sent to him. and his message, because he won't watch this, and anyway, I said that last time. He said, you're crazy, but I love you. And I said, nah. And I wrote, nah, this is crazy. And then I sent him a copy of that, the writings of this, what may be a book. And he never answered after that. Oh, shit. So, for those that are listening, I could read you some of that. Actually, I'll read you some of that, eh?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's beautiful. And my other son says, Mum, you need some grammar, but I'm not going to put it in grammar because it changes the whole thing. There is this life assumption in that it's not our fault in the reality or story our life is feeding us. Yet to understand it, if it was a reflection of our choices and being, and that we formulate the outcome, many would be outraged at the prospect of not having anyone to blame and owning their own shit. Therefore, let's play there because we can. Is there an awareness or a process in the gift of owning your own shit, or is it something we too have formulated a creation into reality of understanding our own existence in the life experience? And well, perhaps I did once, making sense of nonsense. I think life is a great playground in self-discovery of exactly this. And do we really need to be making anything of life if life is just truly an experience or even an illusion to us all? Fuck, that would make us all look at ourselves and our truly accomplishing lifestyles and thinking of the need to achieve or the desire to reach an outcome all the more funnier than it already is. Where to start? At the beginning, one would suspect. Shit, really? There is a beginning? Go figure. You can tell how much fun I had writing this shit, eh? Like, so if it all did possibly come from a big bang, out of nothing came everything, this shit would be worth noting. Yet, at the same time, when can you ever remember not being alive? Back to nothing. So if there was a point of existence in itself feeling like an extension of experience through its own understanding, and it popped out and shattered itself, whether it be thought or energy perspective, and in that itself was everything out of nothing, as it came from that and is all that as it is, it perhaps floated into existence with the wisdom of all that it is to express itself personally in its own discovery of what it already knew. Go figure. Crazy looking for something we already are, yet searching for something we think we are not, yet and will be. And then I wrote, love you too. Haven't heard from him since. But in funny and reflection as I'm reading this to you, makes a lot of sense of what we've discussed tonight. You know, just in that whole storyline of what you've shared and the depth of making it a story. and becoming a story. I have dribbled on a lot more shit since that, just in another paragraph. But when I'm reading it, I'm going, geez, that's a long. So I don't know whether he actually read it, but I'm sure he still loves me. And all my other son could say is, Mum, you really need some commas and some, you need to grammar. No, I like it so confusing that you have to reread it and try and work it out. So, yeah.
When it came through, I looked at it and then I started reading it and I was like, oh no, I can't just, this is one I'm going to have to sit down and read and be fully present to, because it's not how's your day going, Vic?
Well, in my world it is, because I was having so much fun. I was just like playing with the questions and answers and talking back to myself, and in my reality. But I think, again, it comes back to the point of creation. If it comes out of something and we are all that, then we are just experience it, and it's a personified experience. I think that quote I wrote, so that quote I woke up to night, probably a week ago, and it was all to do with, I'm going to recall that as well. I think that makes sense of even that nonsense that I've written. So it says, we are a personified effect of the whole, therefore the existence of the experience.
It's almost like a summary.
Yeah. Maybe that needs to go beside it with an understanding. We can make up shit.
Or under the heading.
Yeah. Well, I was
in
just...
italics, Ali, in italics.
Yeah. Yeah, no, just I don't know where that's going, what that's doing, but it's having a lot of fun. And I'm having a lot of fun letting the paintings talk to me again, which is I'm really, the two that I come up with two today, and the two today, they came out together. Obviously they came in two canvases. I remember painting them, and it was like they were joined together, and they were kind of like but they were separate, and then it just merged into the mess that it did. And then it's really funny because I got given the liquid fire stuff, and I was looking at because it's very kind of, it's got triangles, and I look honestly at, and it's on each corner of the two different canvases, so they kind of go together, and it's like as above so below, which is all the same, like seriously. And but it's funny because when I painted these, I turned them sideways, and I could read the word aloha written in depth of behind. Oh my gosh. And I found this amazing meaning for it today, which is so funny because when something's ready, it talks to you itself. Do you know what I mean? Like, again, and I think that's that clarity and non being busy and being present to the presentation of the acceptance of what's coming through for whatever it is to play. You just open a door to allow that connection of understanding and expression of itself. And it's almost like the telepathic message of the painting talks to you through, because it's been a manifested process out of the personified wholeness. Do you know what I mean? Like the wholeness, then it's personified, and then it's expressed, and it's like that subset that keeps on going and going and going. It just keeps there's bits and pieces of it. And so now the painting is just as much humanly talking to me as any other being that uses words, but it's actually coming through in thought process. And so I've been really enjoying that this week. So I've got 3 different paintings which I've painted a long time ago that I've put up for sale, that I ended up sitting with them again, and they spoke so differently again from the time they came through the first time, and more deeply and more connected and more expressively. And it's today with the aloha thing was a whole way of life brought together, and it was extremely powerful. It's extremely, extremely powerful. I'm kind of excited, and I'm kind of excited that they're kind of like going, I want to go. Yeah, I want to go. Yeah, me. And it's just, I'm just, this one day, the next day, and, it's like every other, it's a few days in between then, someone else. Oh, okay, what do you want to do? I'll sit here and talk to you. So is that oh my God, what world is this woman on? But, it's just another it's not that closed-mindedness. I go to work, I get paid, I come home, I have a family. This is life. This is all the life experiences, and we believe everything that is formulated into this concept. And what if it's so much more, and there's so many more playgrounds, because it's so huge, and it's limitless possibilities, and and curiosities, and there's no right or wrong. And come tomorrow and I'll contrast it all, but it'll because there's a playground there.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
I love it. I love it that our time came to be, because we always knew it would. And I think an appreciation of tonight, and I appreciate the girls. I know they're all there and they'll come back, but tonight was obviously a significant point of sharing, of deep value, that, and I'm grateful that you're so vulnerable and so honest and so sharing on something, on such a temperamental subject. But as I've said,
and thank you. Like, it's such a relief for me. It's like, and I feel like it's such an empowering perspective to have on it all. And it's like, thank God. So I can now, move on.
Well, at the end of the day, I don't think it's about letting things go. I think it's coming to peace with it, that it doesn't dominate your soul and create more shit. Well, we can only see shit different from good or bad. So, create a playground that you enjoy playing in, and having more of those moments than those, and with the observation of here, if you're sitting from here and not in there, oh my God, what a choice. How powerful is that to play in awareness, which then creates your reality. And you can play with that as much as you want to control it, or as much as you want to just be the mystic and curious, and like do a bit of playing, but allowing the freedom of whatever to unfold, which is more the mysterious stuff that I like to play in now.
I must say, I'm leaning towards just the allowing and not having to do anything. And I think because I had years of thinking I had to do all this stuff, and actually to go, you know what, I'm not going to do it. I might choose to from time to time, but it's like,
I think that's it. And I think there's the variables. I think there's some days you think, oh, I'd like to be doing more. I sometimes think, God, I haven't done much in my, whatever. And then I had this, it's really funny, because Mara's had a little quiet time, obviously, because, no one wants to ride horses in this weather. It's bloody interesting in itself. But I had a time thinking, I don't do it. And then I reflected on, the writing, the words, and and the playing, the art, and bits and pieces. And yet I don't consider that work, and I don't consider that. And so when it comes to tea time and I'm not feeling like cooking tea, it's like, that maternal role and that motherly thing, and that thing that, because you've been brought up, especially where I've been like, my mum's been at home and stuff. So that's been generation. And it's like, oh no, I don't want to cook tea. And so I think I had porridge for tea tonight. I think I posted. The boys went and did their own thing. And I think that's just stop being so hard on yourself, because you are actually doing a lot. Yet it seems like nothing. And turning up and being open and not planning is allowing so much more to happen. And I think in a controlled outcome, it's almost like the body's in this tense module that it can only go like this, and you've got it all under control here. So you're only experiencing that. But when you relax that, and it almost is like fluid, and change is happening all the time, and it just doesn't bother you, because like, oh well, obviously I'm over here and over here, and all of a sudden there's this and this and this and this and this, and the fruition of that is probably so much more than just I'm desiring this outcome, and that's all I'm focusing on, and that's all I'm aiming for. Even the journey of the netball girls was, the journey of the netball girls. They've how I say, out of chaos comes brilliance. This is a prime example. They had, they started the season with 3 losses, and they were struggling to make the top 4 for qualifying. And a lot of the commentators had written them off. And of course, they made the qualifying. And of course, they're now won the next 2 qualifying games and into the finals.
Oh.
And one of the ladies' interviews was she's South African, she's a hidden gem, and she just, one of her interviews said, we've just chosen the scenic route instead of the direct main highway, and we're enjoying the ride. And I'm thinking how fluid that is, and and obviously a good environment and stuff and what they've got going on and creating and blah blah blah. But I find that that's the road that I like to take, the scenic route, and not always the direct route. Every now and then I like the direct route, especially if you know. But I just, I'm preferring. But in saying that, as much as I'd like to believe it, I'm so flexible in the okay, let's divert. Yeah. Instead. So I'm even in that awareness of me even saying that I can't even fixate myself to that direct route. And if honesty. Yeah. So no, I think, awesome night, chick. I think.
Good.
We did well. We did well. We could talk shit all night. But I reckon I rate your shit. Yeah. I can't thank you enough for sharing it. I think this is going to help so many other people, and it's going to challenge a lot of people if that's what the choice that they choose. And people aren't, and there are going to be some people that just aren't going to have bar soap of understanding or hearing it, and I get that, and I have no qualms about that, because everybody has a right to their experience, their choice, their way, their being. No way's a right way. This is just a way.
Perfect.
Can't send enough love to you. Thank you. Thank you, love.
Thank you, gorgeous.
Okay. Mwah.
Okay. I'll see you soon.
Yeah, we'll do.
See you, gorgeous.
Bye.
Bye.